Hello everybody. Today we are going to discuss clauses. This is the first part of our discussion. In this module, we will discuss what are clauses and classification of clauses. This is the basic part of clauses. So, are you ready? Let's begin. Now, what are clauses? Look at the definition. Like a sentence, a clause is a word or a group of words with a main verb. So I repeat again, like a sentence, a clause is a word or a group of words with a main verb. A clause is a part of a large sentence. A clause is like a sentence within a sentence. A clause cannot occur alone, but a sentence can. This is the difference between a clause and a sentence. A clause cannot occur alone, but a sentence can. A clause is used to make a sentence long. Now we'll discuss types of clauses. Clauses are divided into two types. Number one, main clause, and number two, subclause. So a main clause stands alone. It means a main clause can be a separate sentence. In a main clause, we find a subject or a main verb, where a subclause alone a subclause makes incomplete sense. It means a subclause cannot be a separate sentence. A subclause always depends on main clause. That's why a subclause cannot be a separate sentence because it cannot make complete sense. It makes incomplete sense where subclause can be a separate sentence and it makes complete sense, and subclause cannot be a separate sentence because it cannot make complete sense. You need to remember, a subclause adds to or completes the information given in a main clause. So a subclause adds or completes the information given in a main clause. So whatever information given in a main clause, a subclause adds to it or completes the information. That's why it is a subclause. So clauses are divided into two types, main clause and subclause. Now see some examples. The first example, he lost the letter which she had sent him. Here, he lost the letter is the main clause. Look at the part main clause. He lost the letter. Here, his subject, lost verb, and the letter other parts. So, he lost the letter. It completes the sentence. So, that's why it can be a separate sentence. And now look at the other part. Which she had sent him. Here, which is a binder or joining what? She subject and had sent verb part and him other parts. But look, which she had sent him. It cannot complete sense. That's why it cannot be a separate sentence. Which she had sent him. It cannot be a separate sentence. Subclause always depends on main clause. Here, which she had sent him depends on the main clause, he lost the letter. Now see the next example. I met the man who came late. Similarly, I met the man main clause. Here, I subject made verb and the man other parts. And I met the man, it completes the sentence. And it can be a separate sentence. That's why it is a main clause. And who came late? Here who binder or joining word came verb part and late other parts. And it cannot, it makes incomplete sense. That's why it cannot be a separate sentence. So subclause who came late depends on the main clause I met the man. That's why it is who came late is a subclause and I made them a main clause. That's why we can understand what is main clause and what is subclause. So remember, main clause completes the sentence and it can be a separate sentence, and subclause makes incomplete sense and it cannot be a separate sentence. And remember one thing again, subclause always depends on main clause. We have learned clauses are divided into two types, main clause and subclause. Now we'll discuss classification of subclause. Okay, the different types of subclause. Now a subclause is divided into three groups. First, noun or nominal clause. Second, adjective or relative clause. And last or third, adverbial clause. So a subclause is divided into three groups: noun or nominal clause, adjective or relative clause, and number three, adverbial clause. In this module, we have discussed definition of clauses and classification of clauses. Hopefully, all of you understand today's discussion. So much for the present. Thank you so much.